Hello, hello. It's 27 of January today, and we are starting on our next episode of Small Talk for those who are listening in online. So today we have a very interesting topic. If you're watching via video, you can of course read it, but just to read out for those who are just listening on audio, the title itself today: "Cracking the Code on Weight Loss: My Journey During the Pandemic." And then you can see two pictures over there, showing my co-host today, who's going to be talking about his adventures, in this entire period, how he went through this journey, and but beyond that, I'm going to actually also use this opportunity to sort of jump into maybe more of the local Singapore policies, and it might even touch about like Asia-based policies on this, regarding weight loss and fitness. And I feel like this is a really important topic because to many of us, I mean, especially I think in the tech industry, we are white collar workers, right? And then, most of the time we sit in front of a computer, we just type. So it's a good topic, in my opinion. Not the most technical, of course, but it's something that I think it's important for us to think about as we, especially as some of us grow older. I think this is something I've learned in my journey as well. Okay, but without further ado, I like to bring in my guest and co-host for today, Hairizuan, as seen inside this image over here, who's the main person of this session today. Hairizuan, welcome.
Hello. It kind of feels weird to see all these like before and after images. It's like um all those like companies that that promise you fitness results or something, like fitness companies, I guess. Then they show the before and after, and it's always that thing where you look at this before and after, it's just like, oh, are they really the same person? But yeah, this time it's really the same person. In
Yes,
this case, it's
definitely.
really the before and after. I think the before is like, I think I was like traveling to Australia or something. Maybe it feels
Mm,
very Australia like. And after, I think this recent
last,
photo,
yeah.
that fest was it. I see the author
Yes,
there.
that's correct. It's
Yeah,
December, the first week of
December.
December, if I'm not wrong. So yeah, this has been the KL Death Fest.
KL the
Yeah,
fest. I mean, we're Oh,
this is the
was I
KL
with
Death Fest.
this
Okay,
KL the
so
fest? Oh,
yes,
okay.
so for those who are again listening to the podcast, okay, so I cut this photo out. I'm actually on the right side of this, right side over here, and then I think Dr. Pooh, so he's a GD in KL as well. He's on the left side, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, I conveniently cut out just your side of the picture, like, just to, I mean, show that comparison. But anyway, just mentioning out there, like yesterday, I think I was speaking to Harizon and he told me that actually this one is also not correct as well. Like on the left side, you mentioned the before is actually even the number is actually even higher. But this one is like the first recorded weight, right? When you got some success in this weight loss.
Yeah. So I mean, I was like yesterday sharing with you
Mm.
the data that I properly got for this. It was like where I recorded on a daily basis. It started from 110. Before that,
Mm.
uh, I think the if for those like video viewers, essentially that picture there is me inching towards the 130 kg mark, which is a scary number if you think about it. 130 is that is really a damn. That guy is big kind
Mm.
of size. So yeah, it's kind of bad. 130 kg is something to ponder, and like you makes you kind of think like, do I want to continue being this kind of weight? It has
Mm.
a lot of problems, of course. Like finding clothes is kind of close to impossible at that stage.
Mm.
Like
But you have had great success. Like I mean, today looking at your I think the entire journey so far. But maybe we'll jump into that later on as well because I think definitely you want to hear more, like not just about the secrets but also the stories behind it. Like I think if anything, the process itself is also the journey. People knowing how they can motivate themselves to go through the same change. Again, maybe it's not just people in tech, but I think to give that context that we are both software engineers, constant in general, and then I think people facing the same situation probably can use the same learnings as well. And then just to continue on what Harizan mentioned earlier about, yes, you see there are advertisements outside, they mention about, hey, this is the before, and then they show the after. I see these advertisements every day outside of, like, those beauty clinics and in shopping malls and all that. This is not sponsored, so we are not really selling anything. Just a disclaimer for this. I think this is really like a very open sharing in terms of what. Maybe also just to share for myself, I also had a little bit of a weight loss. It's not a lot actually, but I mean, compared to yours, it's really not a lot. It's around 7 kg over this entire pandemic period as well. So probably yeah, we'll explore and see. Like I think from the end, definitely had a lot of success, and we can maybe talk a little bit more about how we went through this earlier on. Okay. So as per tradition, usually I like to start off all this with a question. All right, Harizan, would you rather walk? Option A, walk, or option B, jog or run? So there's an answer from this, which is later on. I got the answer from Reddit, some fitness subreddit. I think if not fitness, like I think it's like some. Okay, never mind. We'll see later. But I got like this response where a lot of people voted in this subreddit.
I mean, if there was an option C, if the option C was sitting down, that would be the most convenient, I guess. But then again,
That's not in tune to our podcast today, man. We're supposed to
okay,
motivate people.
super motivate. Okay, let's change our mindset between walking and jogging. Okay, but the thing is between these two, let's say we just these two options, walk or jog slash run. Definitely the preference here would be walking. Maybe because I'm just a lazy person, I don't really like to move much.
Mm.
Jogging just give me bad memories.
Okay.
Secondary school just I was never exactly skinny. I mean, thankfully right now I'm not officially defined skinny, but yeah, we'll get into that details later. But there was this thing, not sure whether you heard of it in schools, Tough Club, but I'm not sure what they could call it right now.
Oh,
Basically,
we can talk about that a bit.
yeah,
I want to throw a tidbit in there since we are talking about this now. I was actually in Tough Cup before,
what?
but okay, so that's the thing. I was actually in the underweight category, but for some reason there was an administrative error. I'm not sure why. I think it was like a school policy. This was in primary school, by the way. So, for viewers, maybe if you're from overseas, primary school is between the age of 6 to 12. And I recall, yeah, there's some administrative error. I think they just wanted to get people who were not within like some acceptable fitness range to join the tough club. Like, again, I think it's just someone mucking up the paperwork. So yes, I actually was there for maybe a couple of months, and they make us jog around during recess. Is that the same as yours?
Yes, but then if you're underweight, it doesn't make sense for you to
It
jog.
doesn't make sense. I agree.
Yeah,
I got removed after that. I think someone realized that there was like a maybe there wasn't a lot of underweight people at that point, and they didn't really detect it until maybe one day someone was like looking at like all the people jogging and how come there's like a skinny guy? I don't know. I to be honest, I was just maybe I was 9 years old. I think primary three. I think I was just 9 years old, 8 years old. And yeah, I just followed the rules lah back then.
but yeah, I think to also like just a bit of clarification, Tough Club essentially people who are on the overweight side of things. Yeah, I mean for those
Okay, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
viewers, yeah, I mean maybe this whole concept of Tough Club is not exactly a big thing overseas, maybe.
Mm,
But yeah, over here, in order to encourage healthy living in a sense, primary,
mm,
I think up to even JC level, basically all formal school, essentially they kind of mandate,
they
is it,
did.
wait,
Mm,
mandate,
yes, they did.
not mandate that essentially all those that on the slightly overweight or obese category should go jogging in their
Mm,
recess periods rather than eat. So yeah, go hungry. It's better for you to go hungry and run around the school rather than you allowing you to go and eat.
mm.
Yeah,
Eh, just also add tough. If I recall correctly, tough club this abbreviation itself. tough TAF, right? Is trim and fitness, right?
Yes. It's not the
Yeah.
inverse of fat, but it
That
kind of is. I mean, to
okay,
be honest,
yeah.
that's why
I
that
to be
name
honest,
already there.
yeah. I feel like the person that gave the naming for this probably didn't think it through as well. Or maybe it really feels like it's on purpose. Because I know a lot of people like it seems like a very easy thing where okay like, I mean I don't want to be horrible. I know there are kids that in school today maybe tough club is still a thing. I'm absolutely not making fun of you. I'm saying this in all seriousness. But yeah, I think back in the day I've seen people use that. Like you turn the entire abbreviation around, then it becomes FAT and it's not a good abbreviation. I had no idea why they went with tough club. Maybe they changed it after that. Like I don't recall that word being used anymore in when I was in secondary school and JC. Yeah, no idea.
Yeah, maybe because you weren't part of it. Oh, I remember
No,
it
no, I
roughly
mean
in
you still see
secondary
it in
school. Yeah.
school, You see, but I think it was called something else already, if I'm not wrong, by that time, like wellness club or something like that. Which,
Yeah.
frankly speaking, I think is way better sounding option. Yeah,
I don't think it's even a club at that point. It's just
no.
you're
Additionally,
forced to
yeah.
go in. It's a policy. They demand you to
It's
be in there and run around the school.
mm. Now,
Yeah.
okay, since actually, the interesting thing to the viewers is that we didn't even talk about wanting to come to this topic, but I think let's discuss about it a bit. Um, I okay, my personal take that like a policy like this, a fitness policy like this, there's it makes some sense, that it's there, and I know the schools itself in I think in Asia, well in Singapore at least we can mention for that, which is every week you usually have around 1 to 2 fitness activities. I think we call it PE or physical education. And it's usually around 1 hour, if I'm not wrong, like 1 hour of the activity twice a week or once or twice a week, depending on the school's policies. And okay, that may or may not be sufficient because I mean, I'm guessing everyone goes through that. Having sort of a fitness thing in addition to that, in my opinion, I feel like is probably okay, given that the school sessions usually is also, let's say if you're a morning session, right, you start around 8 a.m. today, and then maybe you finish around 1 to 2 p.m. So it's kind of like okay, you have breakfast first, and then you have lunch after that. You're still having your 3 meals a day. Recess is also a bit of an extra thing, lah. Like just in case if you're hungry, you can eat a little bit. So I feel like that it's I feel like it's a good thing if for schools to want to sort of encourage healthy living, but maybe it shouldn't be forced. Maybe it should also go from the sense of uh teaching, like why should you be healthy rather than just go run around the field 5 times, which I think to a lot of us they did that, right? Just
Yeah.
run, like they don't really explain it.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
No, I mean we've gone through science classes by then, right? So you roughly like probably everyone already roughly understands the need to be healthy. It's just that
Mm,
just because you understand the need to be healthy doesn't mean you internalize the need to be healthy. Like I think most for a lot of people, right, that suddenly had that like oh I really need to lose weight. Like it usually comes down to like a health scare. Like for me it was okay, like maybe it's a bit jumping the gun here, but it was a slight health scare for me to like okay I need to lose weight. So that's when like okay kind of that whole concept of the whole principle of like okay I really need to be healthier in order to live a longer and more fulfilling life, that finally uh, came true for me, that I finally internalize that concept. So yeah, but I don't know, it's just like for everyone it's to each their own, right? Like everyone has different interpretations and different beliefs. This topic is actually very everyone has an opinion on how things like how certain things are healthy or how certain things are not healthy. Like we are, even you and me, like we have different belief systems and different thinking behind this. Like for me, I don't think I don't think physical activity is important, but but if you are talking just about weight management, it's not important. That's my thinking. But yeah, maybe you will have a different thinking behind that. But then, like, thinking aside, of course, it's not fact. Um, Facts are all in research papers, and it's a pain to read on research paper. Okay, and of course, like, before we proceed any further along this episode, have disclaimer: anything you take from this episode is, this is just two random guys talking on the internet. You shouldn't take this as health advice. Definitely go to your doctor. Don't listen to advice on the internet.
Yep, that's a very good disclaimer. This is definitely not health advice for anyone listening to this or viewing this live right now. But it's a couple of stories. Hopefully, that will help to motivate folks along the way. And I fully agree with what you're saying in terms of the belief system that it's true. The belief system can also extend across multiple different verticals. Where I mean, I think you are talking more in terms of I guess leisure enjoyment. Like if you enjoy good food, you may be more of the mind that I don't have to worry too much about it. But there might be people who come from also other uh I guess schools of thought. Okay, I don't want calling schools of thought is a little bit too uh, what do you call it, like complicated lah, but it's not really that. It could be even something as simple as I have work and I don't have enough time to, I don't know, like think about eating healthy, or like it's just easier to just take away fast food and eat it, like things like that.
Yes.
um it's a very comprehensive topic lah. But all the more so, in my opinion, since we were talking about things like tough club fitness in school, right? I think that in today's world, it's very relevant to teach physical education, like not just as a physical, like just running around, just doing physical activities, but more as like the actual topic where people like you have abundance of food resources today. I think that's what we're presented with in the present day society. But I think in some sense, with the abundance come the other side of, okay, we should be educated on healthy choices, maybe. Like that's something, if we really want to start ground up in terms of fitness, as a population as a whole for a country. And I mean, I'm trying to draw parallels to this from, like, let's say sex education, for example. I'm not sure if you remember about that in school. They do it when you are like 10 or 11 years old, and they try to educate you on those, and to make sure that you don't make poor decisions like a few years down the road. And I think in that same way, right, as you go through puberty, you go through that type of education. I think it's also the same that when you go through puberty, you will face, weight changes, you will face that level of growth. And I don't know, I feel like that it's probably good to start education there. Okay, but maybe anyway, that maybe is something I guess of a different topic, education in itself, as a whole in the future. Anything to add on to that before we move from this topic?
Yeah, let's move on to the actual
Let's move on.
stories
Okay,
and
okay.
slash data.
Sure.
So
Okay,
like the things
so
that we techies like to talk about.
yes. Okay, so I think your answer over here is walk, right?
Yeah, my answer is walk.
All right. I am also of the opinion of walking. I'm more on the side of also, okay, either walking or jogging lah. Not running. I don't prefer to run or sprint. I think that's a bit too much. But okay, for everyone who's listening in, so this is okay. The subreddit itself is called Would You Rather. So yes, please ignore that third choice over there. I know you mentioned about the third choice just now. Please ignore that third choice. I don't think that's what I'm going for. But most people do prefer to do a walk as opposed to jogging and running. Yeah. So yeah, no huge scientific reason behind it. But I guess we mentioned about our preferences earlier on. For myself, I think yeah, walking just seems more fun. I mean, because I do the activity about walking on the side, right? I rather walk and talk to someone and then go for hours. Like I'd rather walk for 3 hours than run for 15 minutes. I mean, sure, you might still end up burning more calories through running, getting more vigorous exercise out of the way. But I think that just feels like it's not very interesting lah. Maybe I'll just put it that
It
way.
feels like a chore.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a chore. But if you can at least make things interesting, fun. Like, over the last few days, we walked, right? I mean, with a couple of friends. I think those are the really interesting parts where you walk along, let's say, like in Singapore River, and you see there's a huge moon in the sky, and you take, like, clamber over it, like take photos. Like, those are the really interesting moments. I think that's like sort of worth like leaving for, right, in this walking sessions. Lah.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, I won't dawn on this topic anymore. I think, yeah, we do want to get to the main topics. So the first question is more of a context setting question. So jumping to it. All right. So I think that this entire podcast itself is meant to be more of a like more technical base. And I assure you, this is not entirely the most technical, but it's still going to be coming from the end of like, software engineers or people in tech like ourselves. And I think this must be the question a lot of people are thinking or asking, which is, what does weight loss got to do with tech? So just now I mentioned a little bit about the context, which is that I think it's clear lah. I mean, for most of us who are working in this industry, right, we are all office workers. We are all white collar workers. Unless if you tell me you are working in a data center for like one of the cloud environment, what's that, cloud providers, and you somehow you're walking around the data center every day. I don't know, maybe like shifting servers around. Maybe that would be considered the extreme. But I think for most software engineers, you would fall under the white collar worker label itself. And the idea is that most days, I'm gonna guess that we just sit around and we just basically update. Let's say you're writing code, you're reading PRs, you're reading RFCs. All of those just require a computer and you sitting down there. Even if you're standing up. Okay, I know there are some people who are gonna say, "Oh, I have standing desk." I'm gonna tell you straight up that I have done standing desk over the years. It doesn't help with weight loss. It's in fact I wouldn't even call it a fitness thing. I think if I'm not wrong, you maybe only burn around 20 or 30 calories a day if you're standing the whole day. So you barely burn anything. You might as well sit down. Okay, I'm not trying to discourage people. I mean, if you want to stand up, you stand up. Lah. Like I do stand for work today just to get my blood flowing. I can think better. But it doesn't help too much with fitness. Lah. Yeah, anyway, that's my take in terms of the sort of why this is related to tech. And later on, actually, maybe not later on, I can kind of jump into the context here. By the way, Hairizuan, feel free to jump in anytime if you see that, something I'm saying maybe doesn't make sense or you disagree with it. So just to also talk about, like, some of us, especially if you're residing in Singapore, you might have seen this infographic before where it's put in by the Singapore government, giving a recommendation that in order to stay fit, you need to do around like at least 150 minutes of moderate exercise. The moderate exercise itself, I think over here they just classify it as it can be you talking. It can be you doing the exercise and you can still talk, but you can't sing. You can really consider it moderate. So I think our walks itself, it's somewhat considered as moderate, as long as it's like a brisk, kind of like a fast pace lah. Okay.
I mean, it depends, right? Walking. Okay, maybe depends on the people you walk with. Like some people
Yeah.
are more of a brisk walker.
Mm,
But in many cases, like most people will just let's say if you're walking by the park and you're trying to like
mm,
view all the sites, I don't
mm.
think we'll even hit moderate. Like most of the time will be a light kind of exercise intensity, right?
Mm. I guess in the end, okay lah, speed probably will be a good parameter on that. The faster you're moving, most likely you are exerting more of your physical ability. So yeah, I think I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Another big reason. So I just added these slides in maybe like half an hour ago, like slightly before we started. This screenshot actually is something I showed some of my friends in, like, including Hairizuan, in our close group chat lah. And I wanted to add it in because the more I thought about it, I realized it is building towards this context, which is that the in terms of young adults, you and I, starting to join the workplace over the last 10, 20 years, I mean, it's quite clear lah. When you get out of school, right? I mean, maybe let's not talk about ourselves, but if you look at your friends, right, most of them gain weight, right? I think even okay, I would say for myself, I look at a picture of myself in the past. I definitely gained weight since my army days, since my uni days. And over here, I think I specifically highlighted two different texts over here, which is that This is from a paper that was studying on young adults after they physical activity and weight lah. Which I'll show the full study later on. But over here, some interesting facts, which is after starting work, 60% of Singaporean workers gain weight, putting on an average of 3% per year for the first
3
8
kg.
years.
3
Sorry,
kg per
3
year.
kg. Sorry, I don't know why I say 3%. 3 kg per year for the first 8 years. And okay, blah blah blah, other stuff, blah. But it's average 3 kg a year is a lot. And then one third of adults regularly took part in leisure time physical activity, while 42.9% did not exercise at all. So that's actually alarming in a sense that because our job doesn't have a huge amount of that physical activity, and if it's contributing towards that 3 kg a year, right, that's not good lah. Any
Yeah,
thoughts
and
about
then
this?
I think there's also one more thing that although we have this study, right? That's I'm
Ah,
not sure whether the study goes in depth into like who is actually surveyed and how they actually get the survey results. And also at the end of the day, also it is a survey after all. So people lie. People tend to lie.
that is
Either
true. That is
they,
true.
yeah, maybe their memory, they don't have a good memory. Like maybe actually they thought they exercised, but actually they didn't. So maybe who knows? Maybe actually the 33% that said that they took part in leisure is like maybe it's actually way lower. Like they thought they exercised like 1 week ago, but actually that was like last year or something.
Mm.
Yeah, a bit of an extreme example, but yeah, that could be that. Yeah.
So when you mentioned about that, people might be lying about this.
Mm.
It, it it does remind me about this one thing. So I'm gonna go to the next slide, which is this is the study where it's based on, and the one thing that really surprised me, okay, maybe I'll just focus on this sentence really quickly. This one is saying that for this study, right, they surveyed people, who were young working adults who like mostly who came out of school taking white collar jobs. Um, okay, but the thing that surprised me, the which is when I calculated amount of light and moderate activity, right? Just to be clear, over here, this column over here, or rather this whole graph lah, shows the different type of activities that this surveyed personnel go through. It talks about the amount of hours spent for each of these activities. So I only want to focus on the physical activity part. You can look at the others if you want later. They even talk about how long you take to eat food, which interesting that they surveyed that. But anyway, looking at the average amount of time, they separate by men and women, and then they also separated by weekday and weekend activity. You can actually see that for both men and women, right? Like the amount of time they spend, right? It's like for men is 4 hour and 18 minutes. For women is 2 hour and 24 minutes. Well, moderate or heavy activity. Okay, this is going by the definition you saw in a few slides ago, which is if you can do activities, you can't sing but you can still talk, that's already considered moderate. And 4 hours 80 minutes is way past the 150-minute recommendation lah. 2 hour and 24 minute, slightly under, I think that's like 100 and 44 minutes, is it? Yeah, 144 minutes, but it's still pretty close. And if it says that on average people are hitting this, right? Yeah, this is the part I was kind of doubtful. Maybe it's the people they survey. Maybe more of the people are more on the fit side. Hopefully they got a good representation lah. Yeah, because I kind of not sure if I trust this figure.
Yeah.
Uh, hmm.
They should also get with data, but then again, like who want to present with data as well, right?
I think there is. I just didn't drag it
There's
out.
this.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, just to review more of the data even more. So just to support this 4 hour 18 minute, 2 hour 24 minute that I mentioned about like for males versus females, how much time you spend on physical activity per week. It actually does substantiate within the study that the 39.4%, actually it's not a huge group, 7 men and 6 women. That means they probably surveyed around 20 to 30 people, guessing. Okay, but yeah, the what I'm highlighting on the screen over here, again for those who are listening via audio only, 39.4% of the folks, uh, fewer than wait, I feel I'm reading this wrong. Fewer, the 9.4% met the recommendation of 150 minutes of moderate intensity, or at least 75 minutes. Okay, yeah, it's saying that 39.4% met the recommendation, and 66.7% took part in physical activity at least once a week. So there's still somewhat, okay, let's round it up to 40%. That means they're saying that 40% of the surveyed personnel does meet that limit. It's close to the halfway point. Then the other half doesn't do enough, although they up to 60% still do somewhat of exercise. Yeah. But okay, showing this, I think it's just saying that it is an important topic somewhat, as a like, why is this important to people impact? Because we are white collar workers, we don't move around a lot as much, or we are not presented with the opportunity to do that during work. So it's important that you actually have to maybe carve out some time lah. If you are thinking about physical activity as fitness, okay, so just to put that school of thought there as well. But second question, to throw it out here, I think again, both myself and Hairizuan will answer, but maybe I'll throw this to Hairizuan first. Do you have enough time to exercise?
Hmm. I have enough time to exercise, yes, but I choose not to exercise. That's the thing. Like
Oh,
I am mostly a option C kind of guy. Like
all right, let's talk about that here,
yeah,
man.
like both of us are married, and we have to, maintain the marriage in a sense. So basically, uh, like for me and my wife, we lead more of a sedentary kind of lifestyle. Like we're a bit more the chill. And somehow another thing is I meet friends quite often. So essentially, when I have the time to chill at home with my wife, I would choose to do that.
Hmm.
I guess between the option of going out and
Hmm.
chilling at home, the chilling at home option is so much more appealing. I
Hmm.
want to enjoy the house that I bought. That's the thing. That's the thing. How about
Hmm.
you? How about you?
Okay, I do somewhat agree with what you're saying. Like, if given a choice, I would choose to. I guess the word sedentary probably is the closest to that lah. In adopting that lifestyle. Mm, Actually, truth be told, okay, the walking sessions that we do, I consider that as hanging out with friends lah. And I would say today, maybe the only difference between how we look at that would be, I would say I enjoy those walks. I enjoy like meeting people, meeting new people, talking to them. So the exercise itself actually isn't the main point of it. It's actually the secondary focus. Like, you get exercise is like killing two birds with one stone. So yeah, I think that's my take on that. But the thing is, I think maybe one later slide I might talk about like my own exercise regimen lah. But or rather, okay, I did wrote it down for this question itself, like just to prep for the answer of this question. Um, I do try to do around two intense runs, 30 minutes each, within a week itself. But to be upfront, it's not for weight loss. A bit of it is for weight loss lah, but big part of it is also, I guess, for physical fitness. I partially IPPT. For those who don't
Yes,
know what
I
IPPT
wanted
is,
to ask that. Yeah, I wanted to ask
yes,
that. IPPT.
there's definitely motivations to that.
Yeah.
Individual. So for those who don't know what's IPPT, is a individual physical proficiency test. If you're Singaporean, you will know that very well. But if, in case you're not, essentially it's a fitness test, mandated by the government for male Singaporeans who are still serving the army. So I have to do that every single year. To be honest, I think it's a lesser of the two evils to try and, like, let's say, try and keep healthy fitness for it for a bit, so that I don't need to come back for retrainings every year, which is also a huge time sink in a different way.
Yeah. First time I heard of it. So yeah, good to know. Good to know.
Wait, what do you mean? It's the first time I've not heard of it.
I never really needed to do it. So
Damn, I am so jealous of you. But I just did my IPT yesterday. I mean, by sheer coincidence, this is not planned. Um, but yeah, that's probably my last IPPT I'll do in my life. That's it. I probably will still continue to like run. Okay, I don't think it's more of a run lah. It's more of a jog nowadays. Twice I try and do twice a week. I probably will still do that for. I mean, just maintaining general physical wellness lah. I think I also tend to perform better. Like, head clears up better. Usually I run at night, and maybe if I need to do some late night work, I feel like my head clears up better after a run. Able to operate a little bit better, sleep better as well after that. So I probably will still continue doing that. Okay, I also wrote down here as part of my answer that I tend to also walk for around 1 hour, 3 days a week. So how I do that is because I try to walk from my house to the train station, and then when I'm going to work, and from a train station near my workplace, again I walk to my workplace. So it's around 1 hour in total every single day, and this occurs for, I think I go to office around 3 times a week lah. So in total it's around 330 minutes. I did that calculation, which is above the 150, so I'm very happy about that. Okay, anyway, yeah, that was a very long answer to your question. But I think, yeah, to each his own because I mean, I've lost some weight in this period. Like if our focus is on losing weight, I've lost some weight, and you've definitely had success, huge success over losing weight as well. So to each his own. I think you're definitely doing something right over there. And if we compare by just sheer numbers alone, of course I'll say I'm on the losing side lah. I mean I lose less weight, but I mean in the end, like I don't see it as that. Like to tell the truth, uh, I think that I've become maybe fitter over the last few years. So I think that's definitely better. And friends who know me, including Harizan, will know that like that physical fitness also gave me a party trick that I can use, which I'll not review inside this podcast. Maybe ping me on LinkedIn if you want to know. Or
Yeah,
actually,
please
maybe
don't.
not.
Please don't. Please don't. You'll be traumatized.
Hey, don't say that. But the like in terms of physical exercise, so walking, would you consider walking as part of that?
I mean, if you say just walk to the MRT station, yeah,
Ah,
that doesn't it feels like it doesn't count. Just like it's part of a lifestyle in a sense. It's not exactly exercise. I mean, unless
exercise is a lifestyle.
okay,
I think at least for me, it's a habit now.
I mean, to me, it feels okay. Maybe it's just the term being ingrained. That's like it has to be something more physically demanding rather than just walking to the MRT. Walking to the MRT, walking from MRT station to workplace. Yeah, that part is a lifestyle for sure. Like walking around. And I guess one good thing that Singapore has as compared to like many other countries around the world is that because of our public transportation system, it's kind of easy to get around places. With that kind of necessity, that kind of makes the need. Okay, I wanted to use a more chim word, but I can't pronounce it. That kind of requires us the need to walk around. Like you wouldn't want to take Grab or taxi every day, right? So if you can walk around so much more, then that kind of contributes to your health in a way. Like because you are moving around as compared to all those more car centric kind of societies where you you head out maybe to go towards the car park. From car park you drive over to your workplace, and maybe that's another 5 minutes walk as compared to like currently how people get to work is first they have to walk to the MRT station, which may be near, maybe far. Like for me, it's like pretty near, 5 minutes, so it's nothing. But maybe to change lines. Let's say for me, my current workplace, I currently work at this company called Kiteworks. Um, it's on the green line, and I live in really northeast, and that kind of sucks because first I have a purple line I need to take it all the way down to Serangoon, which is a yellow line. And the yellow line is kind of there's a bit of walking involved, like from the purple line to the yellow line, and then the whole bunch of crowd to go through and everything. Then you have to kind of sidestep here and there. You can take the travelator, but if you want to be more hardworking, you can like not take the travelator. And then after that, from the yellow line to the green line, there's another bunch of walking. So it's just like, yeah, with the difference between taking the public transport versus private transport, there is so much difference there. There's so much more movement moving around if you're taking public. Of course, actually the bigger reason for all of these is cheap. It's way cheaper to get public transport. But yeah, I mean we're just talking about health here. So yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and refute that. But I know you probably know how to refute the next thing I'm gonna say as well already. So okay, I accept your points, but the idea that if you are moving around more regularly, even if it's a lifestyle, you are going to burn the extra 100, maybe even 200 calories every single day. So that itself, even if it's just a lifestyle, it does contribute towards that physical wellness, does it not? Like, and assuming that for a regular adult, 7,000, I think it's 7,000 calories is considered around 1 kg of weight lah. I mean, if you're able to burn off that body fat, um, that extra walking that you do, right, you're gonna lose weight, assuming you don't consume as much. I mean, you consume the same amount of food than if you are living a sedentary lifestyle. You're gonna lose that extra weight out of it. So I feel like it's still constituting towards exercise, but this more of a very inactive inactive is not a right word, but something that you don't mandate, like you don't purposely go out of your way to do a run. Like in this case, you don't purposely uh want to exercise per se. Yeah, it's a lifestyle already.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, just to spite you as well, I'm gonna say the word that you're gonna say just now. Necessitate.
Ah, shit. That's the word I want to say, but
Yes, I
uh,
know.
the S's are not coming out very well from my mouth. But yeah, I mean, I agree with your point. It does contribute to the calorie loss, but I mean, till now, we haven't even got to the part on how I even lost weight in the first place. Because like all this physical activity, I would say it's good, but to me, this is not the main driver to my weight loss. That's the point I want to throw out here. And
Mm.
I'm not sure whether you've seen that graph before.
I have the
It's
graph in my
something
slides.
the,
Oh
the
wait.
the study where they were saying the calories lost from weight loss is just contributes to like what 5% or something. Do you have that graph or do you not?
Okay, sorry. I thought you were referring to your the lock that
Oh no
we
no
wanted
no
to
not
share.
not that one.
Not
But
that, but
there was
you're
another
talking about a
study.
video.
Not video.
A video?
There was a study done where people talk about how a person actually uses the calories throughout the day, and apparently physical activity is actually considered the lowest. The bigger contributor to the calorie consumption is actually
Mm.
your existence. Yeah,
Yes. That is I agree.
you surviving takes up 60-70% of your
Mm.
consumption. Like you
Mm.
surviving, you burning calories, you maintaining your body actually
Mm.
consumes so much more. So their argument for exercise,
Mm.
like it's better to go for exercises that build up your muscle so that
Mm.
you contribute more to maintaining your existence rather than you running around and wasting all these calories for nothing. But yeah, I mean, I guess we can cover that next time if there is ever an opportunity to go into this in depth. But yeah.
No, we can talk about this point here. Like to be honest, the okay lah. I mean, yeah, separating it to multiple schools of thought, the still I think it still goes back into contributing towards the weight loss. But probably the additional point I'm throwing in there is more physical wellness. Like the next few slides, I probably will. Okay, you know what? Let's just jump to the next few slides. I keep talking about it, but I don't go to it. Okay, so I'm gonna pull up this slides again for people who are listening to this but not seeing the video. Right, essentially what I'm showing on the screen, is two different graphs. One coming from our Ministry of Health in Singapore, and one coming from the World Health Organization. What I'm trying to show here is essentially the top 10, I think it's top 10. Yeah, top 10 leading causes of death. Uh, one is just from the Singapore, which is from WHO. The other one, of course, is from, sorry, MOH, not WHO. In Singapore, just for Singapore, top 10 death causes. And the other one, of course, for WHO. And like some of the things I wanted to pull out or talk about from this is if you look at it, right? Okay, let's ignore the locally, right, for Singapore cancer, pneumonia, right? But if you can see, right, the third leading cause, fourth leading cause, all of this, right, are somewhat also related to the global causes as well. And these are all, in some sense, related to not just for weight loss related lah or weight related healthiness, but in terms of whether you are properly exercising, like the are you properly keeping fit. I mean, even if you are thin as well, right, it's possible that you can also go through like some sort of heart disease as well, based on like your lifestyle, your consumption patterns, even your genetics. Yeah, so I think that's kind of what I want to put in place as well. Like I think you mentioned, Hairizuan, you mentioned a lot of good points in terms of that the how should I put it? Like the losing weight itself, doing physical activity is just a small component of that. I do agree lah. But I think a big part of that, if you're exercising, I think exercising I think shouldn't be the main driver for weight loss, but more towards I guess the physical wellness side lah. And yeah, the contributing factor can be you become fitter, your metabolism increases, right? Then maybe you also lose more weight along the way.
Yeah, but I also want to say that age is also a factor in terms
Okay,
of weight
it's
loss
true.
as well. And so as Weiyuan was mentioning, exercise might build up muscle. I mean, you could get injured and go into a worse state. Yeah, just saying things and putting out the possibilities there. But let's say if we go with positive vibes here, where you exercise, you gain muscle. Like you go through let's say a super long walk and then get drenched by the rain. Walk all the way from East Coast to Changi Airport. Let's say example, and then get caught in the rain. And then the next day you wake up with a really really sore legs. So technically, you build up muscle throughout that process. And with that muscle gain, even though it's minute as compared, going to the gym or whatever, it does contribute to a slightly increased metabolic rate for the next few days until your muscle decide, okay, I'm not actually going to be used again for the next few months, so you'll start dying off or something. But yeah, that metabolic raise. Okay, actually, I don't know what the point I was trying to raise. Wait, what was I trying to? What point was I
No,
trying
maybe I can continue that for you a little bit. I think you were going
to?
on the side of as long as I guess I would have replied something similar as well, which is only with sustained exercise over a long period of time, then you can ensure that increase burn in calories, right? Something like
Yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah, 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 yeah. That's the point that I
Even
was
for weight
trying to
loss,
make.
lah.
Yeah,
And I agree. Like it has to be like you have to. Okay, I'm not gonna say you have to intensely exercise lah, but it has to be something that you have to do every day. You can't just do it once and expect like let's say like just now I mentioned right, 100 calories. What's that? Sorry, 7,000 calories is 1 kg. You can't expect that. Hey, I exercise 1x time and then I burn a substantial amount of calories and then I expect that weight loss. I think it doesn't translate entirely like that. You have to maintain some level of physical activity to in order for that weight loss to actually be seen. Because if not, right, if you're just doing that intense exercise and then like I think later on you'll talk about more about how you went through weight loss. Let's say if you just do that intense exercise and you just eat right away, like eat a lot, right? Then essentially you're just compensating back for the lost calories, maybe in some sense. You're not really contributing towards, let's say, like either weight loss if you're targeting for weight loss, or maybe even like better fitness overall.
yeah.
Okay, that's it. Okay, jumping to this top causes of death. What do you think?
The thing is, right? I've watched through a couple of YouTube videos, and a lot of
Mm.
them were also mentioning, like let's say all your heart diseases, right? Heart diseases,
Mm.
was it cerebral vascular, like
Cerebrovascular.
yeah, a lot of them actually are kind of contributed by weight, by
Wait, yeah.
being obese. Maybe
Mm.
I said the last one for for Singapore's health stat. Like
Yeah.
the last one is chronic obstructive lung disease, that sounds like a very smoker kind of
Yeah.
uh, thing. But other than that, I think, or maybe urinary tract infection, maybe also not as much. But I think all most of the heart stuff and the vascular stuff, most of them should be like will be affected by weight in a sense.
Yes.
Like essentially, you have how a weight problem, the weight problem
Mm.
eventually lead to like diabetes. I think they didn't mention diabetes in a sense because like diabetes isn't a cause of
Ah,
death, but
yes, that's
diabetes
correct.
cause other problems that will then result in death. So I assume that there is that link there. But then,
Mm.
as they always say, correlation doesn't mean causation. But I think they
Mm.
managed to like find like some links here and there. But I
Yep.
mean, we're not doctors, right? So we can't exactly comment on that too much. We can just say
Mm.
there are papers there. You can read them, draw your own conclusion. But then I
Mm.
think it's still better to hear like medical advice, right? How a
Mm.
medical expert actually looks at these papers and uh, uh, try to abstract out the learnings from it.
Mm. Okay, I think you mentioned something that I wanted to also talk about just now, and which is the part on if you diabetes, right, itself. Yeah, it's not something that leads to death, but it's something that will contribute to a lot of these conditions.
Actually, there
But
is
yeah,
a diabetes on
wait, you're saying
WHO
this one,
though.
right?
Yeah, diabetes mellitus.
Okay, okay. But most of the what's that? Most of the ones like the leading cause of death over here, you can see this is huge contributing factor would be from your body weight or your overall general wellness lah. So yeah, even if like there is this here, I think we can definitely say that a big part of this, uh, okay, I'm not sure how to pronounce this. I'm gonna just say it's pronounced as ischemic heart diseases. Feel free to correct me for people who are listening to this offline or even Hairizuan. And I think even this one, yeah, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. There's quite a few, actually stroke as well. There are like some relations towards that and your general wellness. That does come from how healthy you lead your life. Healthy, of course, I'm not just again going around the physical fitness, but more in terms of like what you eat as well. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, maybe we haven't not able to get a lot of things out from this, but I'm not trying to scare people here. Just showing more in terms of hey, based off of what we have seen in the previous slide so far, I think there's some level of okay, even if you can't exercise, I think maybe between us we have somewhat agree also being able to choose properly like what you eat so that you stay on the right side of the scale, right, allows you to maybe help prevent yourself against of these conditions in the long term especially. Okay, I think I brought us dancing around the topic for way too long, but let's get into the proper topic then. All right, Harizan, let's go through this. Walk us through your weight loss. How do you went from 130 to, is it 80 today, like, or slightly over 80?
Slightly over 80. I did hit 80 quite a while back, but then
Mm.
stuff happens, and then I'm struggling a little bit, but yeah, going up and down at the 85 kg ish mark. Yeah, I think I shared that time the graph. I think maybe it might be good to
Do you
bring
want
up
me to
that
show
graph.
it?
There's the next slide, is it?
Yes.
Oh, okay, that's nice. Okay, so as with all things, in order, I think it was management kind of uh, some some manager in some big company was saying, if you want to if you want to know whether you succeeded in something, you need to make sure that you measure it or something. Maybe I'm not phrasing it right, but it's something along that line. Like you can only decide how you can determine that something is successful if you measure and then you set like the metrics for success. And in this case, I think this graph essentially is like showing my weight on a daily basis, which I actually measure every day. I have a weighing scale at home, digital because the other convention kind of not as great, kind of pain to go and read the needle moving up, fluctuating back and forth. And yeah, it's my weight plotted against my target weight across time. And I'm clearly not hitting my target weight. And also, I think it might be a good time to also mention a point. I'm not sure whether Weiyuan, I'm not sure whether you know of this, but have you heard of this BMI thing? That have you heard about BMI?
Definitely. Yes,
Uh,
definitely. Body
and then
mass
another,
index, I think.
yeah, body mass index. So essentially, taking, was it your
Height and
weight
weight.
divided by height squared or something? Or is it?
I don't recall the formula,
Yeah, there is that
but it
formula.
sounds like something like that.
Yeah, so there is a formula like that. And apparently, all this while, okay, I guess question for you. What do you think is a healthy BMI in Singapore?
There's an officially recommended number, if I'm not wrong.
Do you
Uh,
remember it?
I can search it right now. I believe it's around, like, I think it's below 24.2 or something like that, like, and until around 19 point something. Then under that, you're underweight. Okay, but let's search on that really quickly. But I'm guessing you probably want to use the BMI for, like, showing what's a healthy range.
Yeah, basically before you hit the overweight range, what do you think the number is? You can give a guess there. I mean, the range is around there, but what do you think is that that number before you become considered overweight, at least in Singapore?
Okay, I found one for the States. I'm gonna guess it's probably gonna be pretty close to Singapore. Actually, wait, no, I also saw a Google result for Singapore, which is okay. I'm scrolling. It's they are dancing around the issue as well, like what I did earlier on. Uh oh, eh? Okay, 18.5 to 22.9. Actually, it's lower than the one in the States. But the formula is what you mentioned, which is weight over height square.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, healthy BMI is around 18.5 to 22.9
So then, like
kg.
anything above is basically considered overweight, right?
Yes.
Yes. So that's the thing. All this while, I think when we were younger, I think the number that everyone was mentioning to hit is the BMI index 25, which is apparently is an American number or more like
Mm.
the Western world's number. But another study kind of found out that with Asian body structures, apparently we are pretty different as a human species. It's like a completely different species altogether. Apparently, our number to hit, at least as an Asian, is 23, which is quite a big number lower. So that's why, yeah, even for me, I think I'm not sure for you, Weiyuan. I'm not sure whether you've ever did a BMI calculation, but I think for both of us, maybe we are slightly overweight. My
Yes,
guess.
you're correct. I've done it. Yes. Yes, my BMI is also considered as overweight.
Yeah,
I to be honest, I'm not sure how to read off that as well. Do
yeah,
I consider myself unfit? No. Do I consider myself more on the obese side? Maybe a little bit. I don't know. I feel like, okay, since we're talking about BMI, my take is that it shouldn't be the only instrument, but probably governments use it because it's the most convenient one to just roll out on a population level scale, like, millions of people. But I'm not sure. I feel like that's not the most accurate. Not that I'm
yes,
trying to deceive myself. We can talk more
yeah,
about that, but I feel like it's not exactly accurate, especially just now we talk about the tough club, right? And in our younger days, right? Again, I'm not sure of the context. Like, I believe I was considered underweight back then. That's it. I don't know what's my BMI. Maybe my BMI actually, because I'm more of someone of a shorter stature. Maybe I was actually considered also overweight. I don't know. But today I would consider myself like, I mean, I have, I guess, somewhat of a more muscular build. Um, but because of my slightly shorter height, I think the on the formula I become more considered a bit slightly over on the overweight side. Lah.
yes.
Uh yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's not the best instrument.
It's not the best
It's a good
instrument. it's a
Yeah.
good enough. Like basically, it's general enough, but at the end of the day,
Mm.
it is a general tool. Like you can't use a hammer to solve all problems, right? If not,
Mm.
we only will have a hammer that will solve all problems, but we don't. So I mean, BMI at the end of the day is just a tool to gauge a general kind of it's a rough gauge in a sense. So if just know that even if you are slightly overweight, I guess it's kind of fine. Like I mean, let's say what you mentioned, you are a bit more on the muscular side, right? And muscles, from what I read, they do weigh more. So I guess that's kind of a fair point. Like, like okay, I can be considered slightly overweight, and that's kind of fine. I mean I even heard of like bodybuilders that's like above 100 kg, but they are made of muscle, so they are definitely healthier, right? Or not, I don't know. The only way to check is actually to go through a health scan, health screening, and then that's the only way to properly determine. But I mean, for those who are not going through health health checks like every year or every 2 weeks, 3 years, maybe this is a good enough baseline uh, gauge or instrument that can be used. And that's kind of what I'm using. That's the target weight that I'm trying to go for, based on that BMI calculation. And I'm like these past few months, it has been bad. But I mean, like it's better than from where I started, which is 130. The graph shows 110, but the reason for it is because from from the 130 kg mark to the 110 kg mark, the data was kind of spotty. Then I realized, okay, maybe it's best to just check the whole thing out and probably restart the weight measurement again. And yeah, and that's the graph from 110 to around 85 kg ish nowadays. I'm planning to start back again, and like not start back again, but basically try to continue maintaining this or go for a lower weight. But yeah, see how it goes.
Okay. Maybe off
So,
that.
mm,
Oh,
yeah, you're
uh,
about to mention
just
something.
to ask two questions very quickly. So just now you mentioned about full body checkup, right? Okay, so I guess your recommendation is once a year, and this is something you're also doing actively, right?
No, I
Yeah.
mean, I heard advice that you should do it. It
Hmm.
costs it costs a lot of money though. I mean,
Okay.
a good
Oh,
one.
I I
That's what.
I also did my first full body checkup. Recent. Okay, I don't want to say recently, but it's for last year. Last year, so
Mm.
probably this year I have to do it once as well. So I guess I'm also trying to do it once a year pattern. But I agree with what you're saying. It's a bit expensive. I actually had to use like some company, what do you call it, like stipends lah, to go through that. But yeah, I also didn't see any weird stuff on my full body checkup, which is interesting. Okay, but maybe I want to bring us back to the topic itself, which was how like 130, and then you start recording at 110, and now you're around 80 to 85. How?
Okay.
What did you do?
Okay. So basically, the main thing is just not eating. That's the main gist of it.
Okay,
Um,
disclaimer again, this is not health advice.
yeah, this
Folks,
is not
please.
health advice. Yes. So
Okay,
only
but
if you
please
are
continue.
healthy enough, then you should then you can do that. But yeah, I mean, so I think from the very beginning, like you and I don't exactly have like similar thinking behind this. Like to me, if you're just talking about weight management, not talking about fitness, just weight management, um, I don't feel exercise is good enough. Because I've done uh, that whole thing where you can eat a normal diet every day, like three square meals a day, and then just exercise like crazy. But as time goes on, it's kind of a chore to try to maintain that kind of lifestyle. And like for me, I never seen success with it. Like I run like crazy when I was younger, and I never saw any results. So I thought like, okay, I'm like it's bad for me. Like I'll never ever lose weight in a sense. And then that's why my weight slowly ballooned all the way up to 130 kg, because like I think at that point I kind of like gave up, just like, okay, whatever, I'm not going to lose that much weight. And at the same time I didn't even bother to maintain my weight, so that's why it went all the way up to 130 kg. And as I was mentioning earlier, for all those who suddenly lost a whole bunch of weight, it's either they have a medical complication or they have a health scare. And for me, I had a slight health scare. Like, I was like lying down on bed and just like, then it's actually getting hard to breathe. Yeah. And, you know, breathing is important, clearly. So from then on, I started doing a bit of research here and there to find out like how is it possible to kind of lose weight, and that's where I got down the rabbit hole of looking at the diet and everything. And one of the things that kind of make me question, like, is exercise even that important when it comes to weight management? Is where this there's a whole bunch of video metrics, videos, information online, articles that was mentioning, like, let's say you eat a plate of chicken rice. Awesome, good, 500 calories. You can run for half an hour and you only run and you only burn off half a plate of chicken rice. So in order for you to fully burn off that whole plate of chicken rice, which means like as though you never eat the chicken rice, you have to run for an entire 1 hour. And no way am I gonna like run intensely for 1 hour just to burn off one plate of chicken rice. It's better for me to not eat the chicken rice, so I don't need to run 1 hour. If you get what I'm saying. So if I do that, then basically I can start losing weight, right? Like if I just don't eat. So the first thing I was looking at was breakfast, because like apparently I wasn't even eating a regular breakfast. Like sometimes I skip because like I go to work and then like, okay, I'm gonna have a early lunch or something, so skip breakfast. So breakfast is kind of the first thing that I tried skipping, and apparently from that, immediate weight loss. Surprisingly, like instead of making a irregular skipping breakfast, I just completely skip breakfast for entire like 2 or 3 months or something, and then like the weight started dropping like crazy. And then I was like, okay, maybe there's something here. And I think, not sure if you go around the internet. Let me see. If you go around the internet right now, right? I think there is this mention. Maybe if you heard from parents and all, there was this mention like, oh, how breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Actually, I'm not sure about your opinion about it, but apparently there is kind of a conspiracy. There's a conspiracy theory about that.
Wait. Okay. I
Apparently,
have a different opinion on that, but please go ahead
yeah.
first.
Okay, let me say my point, then after immediately your point comes. So apparently, this whole phrase, "how breakfast is the most important meal of the day," actually came from a company called Kellogg's. There is a video about it. There's even a Vox video about it, about how this Kellogg's company was trying to sell cornflakes, and apparently cornflakes is kind of a breakfast kind of food, right? And it's very starch heavy. Uh, it's apparently, they say it's good fuel for the day, like they give you a huge boost of energy. But the whole saying of breakfast is the most important meal of the day is part of their marketing campaign. So I don't know, like, so once you hear of all this conspiracy theory, just like, okay, maybe everything about diet is all lie. Maybe everything, maybe it's like sold to allow these companies to make even bigger profits. And that's not the only conspiracy theory I'm going to introduce in this podcast, in this episode.
Wait,
So
can I
yeah,
report? Can I reply to that really quickly?
sure. I'm
On that
waiting for a
sentiment.
reply. Okay, sure.
Okay, I don't disagree with that. Maybe I'll add as a supplement because I do want to hear like your entire story as well. And I want to prioritize that. I think here's my take on it in terms of whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner. My take is if and you have to trust your gut of your body, right? Or trust your body a bit in that if you feel hungry and legitly you feel hungry, I'm not saying you're craving for something, you feel hungry, I think that's where, yes, you probably have maybe like you've missed, like, let's say, eating for miss like a regular meal or eating for a bit, and you should go and eat it, go and have a meal. But let's say you had a very deep or huge dinner the night before, and you don't feel hungry, right, the day after, right, for breakfast, right, then I think actually having a lighter breakfast, or even just drinking, like, I don't know, coffee, what do you call it, coffee kosong, kopi kosong.
Kopi
So
O
okay, let's say
kosong.
something, yeah, kopi o kosong, is that what you call it? I don't drink
That's
it a
black
lot, but
coffee. Black coffee with
the
no
coffee.
sugar.
Yes, black coffee with
Yeah.
no sugar, like something, just a very simple thing to get past your breakfast, so to speak, right? I think that would be sufficient, lah. But that's my take. I know what you mean by that itself sounds like a conspiracy because it's a slogan. I don't necessarily agree with saying that the whole breakfast concept is a conspiracy. Like, it's good to eat if you're hungry, especially for breakfast, for growing kids as well. Uh, but that's it. Like everything must be done in moderation. If you had a huge dinner the night before, you don't feel hungry for breakfast. I mean, then just trust your body and don't eat extra lah. I mean, that's kind of defeat the point. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my take. Yeah, but please continue. Please continue the story.
I mean, of course, I just want to like say a thing where, let's say if you have like let's say you have to work out in the fields, right? And then like basically the only time for you to eat is breakfast and dinner, and you probably won't be able to have lunch because like you'll be out there in the field. Then of course like breakfast will be important, right? Because it will be the fuel for you when you're out in the field. But then for us sedentary workers, we're just tapping away on our keyboards. So do we really need that all that excess energy? Maybe not. But yeah, that's kind of the part one in a sense of my initial weight loss, and that part is easy because when you start off high, the only way to go down is just jump, and then the first few seconds just like freaking fast, right? Then the next part, after that initial like just skipping breakfast, the weight started stabilizing. The body realized, oh, okay, they started getting used to it. Then I was looking around the internet for other ways, and then there's this thing about intermittent fasting, that came up in my search. I don't know why it came up, but yeah, it kind of came up. In A few of these kind of videos all came out at the same time: intermittent fasting, and as well as this thing about longevity, and also another conspiracy along the side. Maybe I'll start with the conspiracy, and then I'll go slowly branch out to the rest of them. So just now, I think you will mention something about the fitness goals, or like 150 to 300 minutes, 150 minutes to 300 minutes per week, right?
That's correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's one of the thing, like, oh, you need to hit this in order to fit, in a sense, in order to help maintain a healthy lifestyle. So I guess I can add on to that, where the government, actually, like Singapore government specifically, um, they introduce a new guideline. Yeah, a guideline is a proper word for it, on how you should portion your meals. So I'm not sure whether you've seen it recently, about they have that plate thing, and like basically half the plate is meant to be protein, and one quarter is meant to be like vegetables, and the other one quarter is carbohydrates. Have you seen that plate, the healthy plate or something?
Okay, I'm gonna see if I can bring it up on the screen. Are you talking about this?
Yeah. Oh, it's not one. It's not half a plate of protein. It's one quarter protein and half vegetable and fruits.
Yes. Okay, let me see if I can blow it up a little bit more. But yeah, I think for those listening via audio, yeah, I think that's as what Harizan mentioned.
Yeah. So this is kind of the new guideline that was kind of recently introduced, but the this is not the only guideline that was sent out by the government. There was
Mm.
another guideline before this called the food pyramid, and that food pyramid is actually rife with controversy, because that Have you heard of the food pyramid? Oh,
I have, but
okay. Yeah, maybe I can
I
explain a
not
little
the
bit.
same pyramid that I guess you're referring to.
No, it is that same pyramid. It's like that pyramid where fats is right at the top, fats and sugar and treats is at the top, and then at the bottom is like you should eat 7 to 11 servings of rice and carbs and everything. Do you remember seeing that that food pyramid?
No, I'm trying to look for it on Health Hub as well. I can't really find it.
No, it won't be on Health Hub anymore because it's no longer a
Oh,
recommended guideline. It's no longer
yeah,
a recommended thing by government.
it
But I
sounds
think
like something that was from years ago.
it was from years ago, and apparently that was something that was pushed out by health governments, the health ministry in America. And Singapore is just like the importer of this kind of studies, right? Why bother doing our own study when someone else already paid money for it, right? So they just like, okay, American government said and did the study, and like that study looks okay. We can just incorporate
Mm.
it as part of for our population. So I guess that's one. And America had this food pyramid thing as well, in the past. So this food pyramid apparently was
Something like this.
yes, this was the one. So you see, it's bottom heavy carbs,
Yep.
which is very different as compared to what we have for our health, my healthy
Um,
plate.
Yep.
So there is a reason why this happened. So the reason was because apparently, if you search on the internet, this is another conspiracy theory in a sense, where they were saying like the food pyramid was actually pushed by uh, the corn industry, like the carb
Very
industry, the
interesting.
carb industry. So
Okay,
that
but
is
now you mention it, I agree with what you're saying. That I think it makes more sense if you're eating. Let's say you can sustain on a diet on vegetables and just protein alone, right? Like you don't need so much carbs. Yeah,
yeah.
that it's up in today's context. That pyramid does seem bad.
Yes, in today's context, it does seem bad. But yeah, that whole thing came about, and then basically a whole entire generation, and the whole entire generation was taught the food pyramid, and that was how the entire diet was changed for that. So apparently, there was. I remember reading online of articles. There was a study where they were saying, um, before there was a weight like they did some measurement for weight, right? And apparently there was a before and after a food pyramid was introduced. And apparently the moment food pyramid was introduced, weight started skyrocketing to the top. So that was kind of an interesting thing, an interesting kind of conspiracy theory. But yeah, carbs is dead to me in a sense. Or carbs should be dead to you as well if I'm from this. Like everyone is like starting to discourage carbs. Singapore government is discouraging carbs. And then even if you eat rice, they say don't eat white rice, eat brown rice or something. So it's like carbs itself is being discouraged in a sense. Like even in the media, if you look around, that seems to be the common story right now. You want
Wait,
to say
you
something?
touch on a small thing that I just want to say. And okay, since we're on the topic of conspiracy theories, things that may or may not be true, we're not sure. I like to throw in one thing here as well: brown rice. I think brown rice. I'm not sure how much you've looked into that. I feel like that's also an area of contention where there's definitely health benefits of that. But I think if you've seen like CNA Insider, right? I think was it Steven again, like the guy that does a lot of the very interesting studies or experiments lah. I think
Yeah.
what if I'm not wrong, that episode that I believe he's the host lah for this episode that talks about the different type of rice, right? And he's
Mm.
actually shown that brown rice, right, for the same quantity, right, or same weight lah, to the equivalent white rice actually has more calories inside.
More calories.
So
Yes.
yeah. So
But
I guess again, just small point like the brown rice thing. I don't know. I feel like that's also another hype. Like sure, there are benefits. I don't want to go out there like I'm not a nutritionist. Like I can't give you good advice there. But at least I've seen like every year when I go back for national service, there was a period where brown rice was hype up and the out rations were brown rice. Recently, in this last 2 to 3 years, it's all white rice. I don't see brown rice anymore. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know what happened there, but probably there was some effect lah. That I mean, like brown rice was maybe also. I mean, again, there are health benefits and all that. Yes, I'm not wrong, but sorry, not saying I'm not wrong. I mean, yes, it's not wrong, but it probably was also pushed a bit too much. I mean, if you're eating the same amount of brown rice as white rice, it's probably not for the best as well. Mixing it maybe is better. Who knows? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, point over. Please continue on your weight loss
Yeah, I also want to say
portion. Yeah.
something
Sorry.
about brown rice. Like apparently, I was like watching this the video. They were saying they were talking about the um how long you can keep like such rice. So apparently, because white rice is actually like polished rice, right? So essentially, they take the rice grain and they polish it to the point that you only get the nice starchy center. And then surrounding it, if you never do all this polishing stuff, then there's the brown rice or purple rice or black rice, whatever other colored rice. So apparently, the thing is, this brown rice, right? Apparently, they have other dietary stuff alongside it. So they have lipids, they have slight amount of protein. Um, but because those other things exist beside the white color, the center starch, right? These things actually spoil much more easily. So goes the theory lah. So essentially, my thinking is when the Singapore Army introduced brown rice, maybe they didn't factor in the cost and I don't know whether that's the truth or not. Maybe maybe there was a cost factor because brown rice is definitely so much more expensive, right? And buying it for a family is it's maybe a small amount, but a small percentage increase. But then if you want to buy it for the entire half a nation worth of rice, right? For half a nation, yeah, maybe it's not as cheap. Maybe cost could be a one factor, and another one is could be like maybe brown rice cannot be kept that long, so even they can't buy bulk purchase or anything. So maybe, yeah, but yeah, that's beside the point. It's just theory at this point. Who knows? But yeah, back to the story. So one thing is the food pyramid thing, the food pyramid conspiracy, whatever it is. Basically cut out as much carbs as possible. That's one. And this is the weight loss from about the 120 to all the way to the 90 kg, 100 kg ish mark. So that's the this thing there. So remove as much carbs as possible. Another thing that I was looking up, or that kind of came up in my search, is this thing about intermittent fasting. And in intermittent fasting, when you search out on intermittent fasting, that it kind of comes along with some of the topics about longevity as well. Not sure whether you've seen like all those like longevity kind of gurus, but apparently, that like even like some doctors also talk about it as well. So I'm not sure. Maybe it's a legit field, or maybe it's not. Who knows? But to me, like, all I want is just to find a way to kind of lose weight in a sane manner without too much effort on my part. That's the important thing. I don't want to exercise like crazy just to lose weight. I want something that kind of makes sense to me. And watching all these videos and reading all this theory about intermittent fasting and longevity kind of makes sense to me. And I'm going to bring up some of my kind of my knowledge from my degree in a sense here. So, okay, first things first. So, when you eat a piece of food, let's say rice, right? Rice is starch. When you eat it, um, it gets digested by the body. Starch will break down and then eventually become glucose. That's That's, I think, is a common understanding for most people, right? And then usually just from there, like you need that sugar, that sugar to the body in a sense. But if you go for all those like all those like further studies for this biology stuff, then you'll find out like what happens to glucose once it enters the body. So it enters the body, it gets absorbed by the small intestine, and then the body reacts to glucose because apparently glucose too much glucose in the blood is bad. There's always a need for glucose in the body, but too much of it is bad. So the body reacts to it, and the body reacts to it by injecting by having an organ that will produce insulin. And I think everyone in Singapore probably heard of this insulin thing as well, because insulin, I think it ties quite tightly with diabetes, right? If I'm not wrong.
That is correct. So I think that there's an official definition of diabetes, but again, for listeners, when you get diabetes, right, essentially, I believe it's the liver, right, that produce insulin, and essentially, it's saying that you are not producing enough insulin to regulate the amount of blood sugar, something like that. So
Yeah.
that essentially is the like why you have diabetes. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna like explain a bit more on that as well. So, but then again, like this is all like kind of knowledge out there in the field. Some of the things I'm gonna mention is not exactly cold hard facts yet, and I'll mention it before. I'll mention which parts are is and is not. Okay, so about the insulin bit, there's two types. There's oh yeah. Let me continue back to the story first before I go down the diabetes route or whatever. So too much sugar is bad. Body produces insulin to try to counteract it, because like I think for too much glucose will cause some disease, some disease. I forgot the name for it, but it will affect everything in every organ in your body in a very bad way if there's too much of it. So there is a need to have insulin to regulate it to a normal level. When insulin is introduced, glucose gets taken up by the cells in your body, and if there's too much of it, the liver takes it up and converts it to another form called glycogen. So it's like temporary storage in a sense. So because that's the thing, like your body needs a regular amount of insulin. Like it only can consume so much insulin at per unit of time. But then you still need it in the future. So there is the need to kind of store all this excess glucose somewhere so that it can be used in the future. So the liver takes it up and then they store it as glycogen as a temporary unit of storage. So it forms like temporary kind of storage in the liver, glycogen. I think muscle cells also do that as well. Muscle cells also respond to insulin, and they also build up glycogen within them. So if the muscle cell kind of needs the energy kind of rapidly, it breaks the glycogen down and it immediately has glucose for usage. So that's one. But but that's the thing. Like, what if your muscle cells and liver is unable to consume all that glucose that's floating around in the blood? There is another cell out there. There's the I think the fat cells, the adipose tissues. So I'm not exactly too sure how it reacts properly with insulin. I just read like one or two papers then, and then I think recently as well. And apparently, but the thing is, it wasn't in my textbooks in the past, so I don't know. I don't know whether it's like cold hard truth right now. But insulin does affect the. There is a study where they were saying that insulin does affect the adipose tissue, and apparently, adipose tissue is just fat cells, right? So for fat cells, it takes up the glucose and converts it straight to fat, and that's kind of how you kind of can gain weight from eating too much starchy food. So if like you see a plate of mee goreng, not all of it, not just because it's not fat doesn't mean you won't get fat. The starch in the food will eventually transform itself into glucose, and glucose will be taken up by the fat cells.
So it's okay, going back from the food pyramid. So yeah, excess starch, and if you're consuming too much of that in your diet, part of it will be fats. I mean, naturally on indirectly in a not direct sense, right? The direct or indirect, I think most of us probably would have experienced that lah,
Yeah.
outright. Mm,
So if you
that's
drink too much
interesting.
bubble tea, yeah, if you drink too much bubble tea,
Some of it
you
will be
will,
fat.
yeah, some of it will be slowly transformed to fat. Like you won't see it like, you drink bubble tea today, you tomorrow you get fat. No, it doesn't work that way.
Mm,
It's just like a slow, gradual increase. Something like this graph that you see here, a slow, gradual
mm,
increase. It's because I've been eating like, not like I've been not controlling my eating too much right now.
mm,
So yeah, so that's kind of how um, glucose will turn to fats in the body,
mm.
which is
Then
not
how about the
great.
reverse? How about the reverse? The so let's say you're doing intermittent fasting.
Yeah,
Okay, we know what happens if there's excess, but
yeah,
let's say in this case there's deficient. What happens to the three things you mentioned earlier? So okay, body maybe too much insulin. They probably your liver will regulate and pull back.
yeah.
Uh, um, what happens then? Like the fat cells that what's that will convert fats into what's that? Is it glucose or glycogen? Okay, sorry, I'm not very good
Glycogen.
with this terms.
Okay, so liver and muscle cells, they have
Mm-hmm.
glycogen storage,
Mm-hmm.
and fat cells have fatty acids, or they call it fat storage in a sense. So for the body, it does the easiest things first in a sense. So as you use up the glucose in the bloodstream, right? As it goes down and down, then the body realize, oh, okay, shit, there's not enough sugar in the blood. I need to get sugar out somewhere. The first easiest way to take out sugar is actually glycogen storage. Because apparently the bond is actually just a quick link. So your liver cells start releasing that glucose back to the bloodstream, and then that's how your body continues maintaining that normal sugar level in the body. Just another thing, too little sugar is also bad for your body. So yeah, there has to be that balance. It has to maintain that balance. So no matter what. So if there's too little sugar, the body reacts and start releasing. The liver will like react accordingly. You break down the glycogen storage and release it back into the bloodstream. The thing is, the fatty acids don't do anything right now. The fat cells don't do anything right now because the glycogen is sufficient. It is the easier way to break down the and release the glucose back to the bloodstream. So that's why only after the glycogen storage is running out, then the fat cells is will start responding. Just like, okay, glucose is insufficient. It's time to start breaking down whatever that's inside the fat cells and start to convert it to forms that the body can use. I'm not sure because the thing is, right, when glucose is taken up by the fat cells and transformed to fatty acids, right, that's not glucose in the sense. Like a whole bunch of chemical reactions has been done to it to transform it to not glucose. I think if fatty acids is broken down, like they're listing about the ketones or whatever stuff floating around. But apparently there is an alternative energy source that the body can use. So there's not only glucose. Glucose is kind of the initial usage of it, but then you have the other um, alternative energy source called ketones, which is like a whole ketone bodies or something. That also can be used by the body. But that's the thing. It is only after the initial like glycogen storage has been used. So if you want to think about it, right, um, from a computer from a computer programmer's kind of perspective, you can say um, like the glycogen is some sort of like cache storage in a sense. Like if you are application, if you want to get something quickly out, and you will store it in cache, and like you can think glycogen as some sort of cache, like something you can go in quickly, get it out quickly. But then you want to store things for longer term, more persistent storage. You store it in disk or in the fat cell. So it's more persistent. It stays there for longer. and is available in times of need in the future. But the thing is, yeah, it's just a random thought, I guess.
No, I think that's true. I've seen some people compare computer systems and human systems. So for viewers who are listening to this, don't think as like let's say your total disk space, right? As the total, like if you compare the human body, that's the total amount. And hey, how can you draw a comparison? I think the difference there is more so the how much space you're using. That's probably equivalent to the quote unquote body weight lah. Yeah, but I think that I've heard someone use that comparison before. I think it is quite apt. Maybe I'll even go over and say that it is a good representation that for this available disk space in your computer, there's a amount that maximum amount you can hit, and probably past the maximum amount, that's where your computer gets into trouble lah. I mean, like it's the same thing with like memory, for example. You use maximum, like beyond the maximum, right? Your computer starts crashing as well, and your body, in the same way, it has to compensate for that if you're going beyond your limits. Like that's where all these medical conditions come in lah. Okay, I want to pull us back to the original topic. So because we have also gone on for around hour and a half, I think probably maybe we'll just do for another 10 more minutes. But I don't want to go into your journey for, you mentioned about intermittent fasting. You started with regularly skipping breakfast, went for 2 to 3 months, and then you realize, oh, I lost a lot of weight. Uh, any other changes like do you do inside this portion? Is it just breakfast or more than that?
So that's where the intermittent fasting and that whole theory just now I was
Mm,
mentioning, that whole thing all come in.
mm.
So
Ah,
in order for you to hit the low levels of low levels of glucose in the blood, right? Basically, you use up, because like just now I was mentioning, like the first energy storage that will be used is glycogen, right? And then after that, then fatty cells will start to be used, right? So that means I need to hit the mark where my glycogen is like used up. My cache is like, okay, I'm out of cache in a sense. Like all my cache has been like emptied out. Like where else, what other energy stores can I use? So apparently, there is theory out there that that mark is a 16-hour mark, and beyond that, or is it the 12-hour mark or something? 12 to 16 hour. It's like it's not a definite number. It's just that as you approach that 12 to 16-hour mark, the glycogen stores are finally kind of used up, and then the body starts ramping up the access to the fat cells and the fats within the fat cells. So that's where all this intermittent fasting comes in, and how it is quite effective in a sense to start to lose weight. So you use up your glycogen stores, and then you start using up the energy from the fatty cells. That's why it's just like you see a guy going through intermittent fasting, but he's eating like crazy, right? But he's still like maintaining the weight, even though he's like eating like crazy. Partly because he entered that fat burning mode, the usage of the fat cells, but uh, and yeah, and he's still eating like mad, like eating like a normal person. So yeah, that's how it my weight kind of dropped from 110-ish to the 90 kg-ish mark. And I think there was a period of time, like 2020, end of 2021, that was a massive drop, like a sharp line down. So I was watching this video. They were mentioning about not longevity. It's partly longevity stuff. Like they were talking about how um, if you fast for even longer than 16 hours, or even 1 day, 2 days, you activate another mode in the body. I forgot the term for it. Um, let me see. Let me see. I forgot the term for it. Essentially, it's a mode in your body where the body realizes that there is not sufficient resources, and starts to recycle everything in your body. Basically, it's doing a cleanup. It's just like, okay, maybe this cell not working as efficiently as in the past. Let's destroy it and recycle all the components, because like we need all these resources, and we are not consuming any of these resources. So it starts to do a cleanup of all the things, of all the bad cells in the body. So that's only achieved. Oh yeah, I just remember the term autophagy. Autophagy, AUTOPHAGY. So that is a mode that starts to turn on at the third day mark or fourth day mark. Essentially, your there's a time where your body reaches kind of the limit, and like it still needs protein to build up cells, but you're not providing the body protein because, like, let's say for 3 to 5 days of complete fast, like not eating anything at all, you still need to provide the mechanisms in the body, protein, fat cells. So it starts to break down like all the bad cells and convert and you recycle them to use up and build up new cells, more efficient cells. So basically doing a slow rebuild of your body in a sense. Yeah.
I can't. I'm not sure if how I draw that to weight loss. To be honest.
Yeah, that's that sharp drop where I think that's like just before 2022. That was the time I was doing the long term fasting. Like I didn't eat for 5 days.
Okay, wait,
Wait.
sorry. I think we have to clarify that for the audience. You're on a liquid diet, correct?
Yeah, basically
I
I
mean,
drink,
like.
yeah, water and kopi o
Mm,
kosong.
okay. Okay, again, disclaimer: this is not nutrition or health advice, folks. Please seek out nutritionists. I mean, I'm sure like Hairizuan has done his research and probably he spoke to folks as well before he went on that. Like, yeah. But just to mention that, uh, okay, I'm not sure if I want to jump a lot into that, but I can share a little bit about my take as well. There are times where it's essentially intermittent fasting, although I think yours was also a little bit at the extreme lah.
Yes.
Mine some days I remember doing something like that, like either eating food supplements or consuming the what do you call it, food that might contribute more of that blood sugars essentially, and yeah, more of that liquid diet, and it did help to reduce my weight for quite a bit. I remember my friend back then introduced me like some this food supplement
Soylent, is
powder
it?
lah. I think, sorry.
Soylent, was it? Or not Soylent?
It's not silent. It's not silent.
Okay.
It's something else. I don't recall the company, but I don't really want to advertise for them as well. But essentially, I think if you find for any food supplements, the powder you put it in water, you mix it up. There's like banana flavor, chocolate flavor, and then use that as a way to sort of supplement your meals lah. I did stick with that for a while, and then I think I lose, like just now I mentioned, I lost around like 7 kg, like maybe around like 3 kg due to that. Yeah. So yeah, I think safely fasting while making sure like you don't get into trouble, I think it will contribute to that weight loss lah. I agree lah. But make sure guys please stay safe. Don't even if you fast on the extreme piece, make sure you get some help. Yeah. Again, this disclaimer advice, I think we've given enough disclaimers, but I think more important is also to stay safe lah. I mean, if you go to the extreme and you get into trouble for health, like that's not worth it as well if you go to like over extreme on the other side. Okay, I think we have gone on a bit too long. I think there has been a lot of interesting topics. I note down quite a few notes on this. I do want to, okay, maybe let me stop sharing these slides for a bit. I want to focus more on Horizon. I think maybe for the last few minutes, right? There's one part that I think we really need to focus on, which is you went on this huge fasting phase. I mean, whether it's intermittent fasting at the start or like you mentioned in 2022, you had like a period where you fasted for a long time. And then I think after that, probably you did like in and out, time to time, you did that fasting as well, right? Which contributed to a lot of your weight loss. Can you share with the audience tips on how you motivated yourself along those lines? Because it's really
Uh,
hard. We need to eat, right? Like there's good stuff in Singapore everywhere.
yeah. So that's the thing. So one motivator would be, I'm not sure whether it will be motivator, but the only way for you to know it is to experience it is if you don't eat for quite a while. The next time you eat like rice, is is freaking delicious. Like how they did say hunger is the best spice, and that is really kind of true here. So I mean, if you want to try that, that's one. But I think another one that is a bit sad, but it's kind of a factor on how it's kind of easy for me to just fast. Is because as a Muslim, um, there's Ramadan, right? Ramadan is basically like we make fasting compulsory every year. So no matter what, I already have a bit of experience with not eating for 12 hours. I mean, I heard from some people that, no, it's like, oh, how can you not eat lunch and breakfast? Like, to me, that is normal, I guess. Even for now, nowadays Ramadan, so I'll even skip the morning part as well, because like to me, I just need water. That's an important thing to me, water, and that will sustain me throughout the entire day until like the breakfast timing. And yeah, that's the thing. So that's kind of like, in terms of motivator, it's just willpower in a sense. Um, Also, another thing that might be useful as well is, so just now, Weiyuan, you were mentioning something about hunger, right? Hunger pangs and everything. Like sometimes it's hard to control the hunger pangs. So with regard to hunger, uh, it is a sign from the body that, it is time to eat, or the body says it's running out of energy. But this hunger pangs is actually all driven by hormones, and these hormones are sometimes cyclical in nature. So basically, if you have always eaten breakfast, lunch, dinner, right, um, your body gets used to it, and like, okay, when it's time to eat breakfast, the hunger hormones start to gear up and, like, start spreading across the body, and like, okay, I'm feeling hungry, I think I need to eat. But the thing is, your body has enough reserves. Okay, let's say in a more plump body, your body has enough reserves, but because you always eat at that timing, so you feel hungry. So it's not because the body really needs energy, it's just because you always used to eat at that timing. So if you ignore it for 1 or 2 hours, the hunger pangs will eventually go away. That's the thing. But then some people also were mentioning, like, if you don't eat for a long period of time, you'll get, a bloated stomach or something. I don't know. Like for me, initially I experienced that, but then as time goes on, like, I don't know. I don't experience that anymore. Like nowadays, yeah, I've been doing this 16/8 intermittent fasting for a long time. I even have a stats for it. I think right now I'm at the 93 or 94% mark. So ever since I started weighing myself every day, I will say whether I did the intermittent fasting successfully. So I think out of all those days, 93 or 94% of the time, or of those days, I did intermittent fasting. So I've always been on that, and that's how I kind of manage my weight. And I guess that's the only way for me that I know of managing my weight. It's hard for me to go back to a normal 3 square meal and be okay with it. I think right at this point I can't do that anymore. I think last time I went holiday, and then I eat like breakfast, lunch, dinner, right? Really, it's really bad. Like it really does crazy stuff to my body, and like, my body. I think I can't handle that anymore. Maybe because age as well. But yeah,
I think that's quite inspiring. And from what I hear from that, okay, besides of course, circumstance like you mentioned about Ramadan, I think part of it you mentioned now is also the building of the habit lah. Now that you're on that habit, right? You're actually on the side that it's harder to uh okay, I don't want to say it's harder to break a habit, but it's harder to, let's say, go back to a habit of eating like a full 3 meals. But you are now very much used to your current lifestyle. You probably also don't get the same level of hunger pangs anymore.
yeah,
Uh that way, yeah. So I think, yeah, it seems like probably a big part of that early journey in, let's say, at least for fasting, in trying to make sure that, okay, you keep to your targets of I only eat in this 8 hour range, uh and then keeping that for a period of time, maybe motivating yourself. I think big part you mentioned, right? Measuring your weights. Actually, that one I agree with a lot. I'll explain a bit later. But measuring your weights and then sustaining this whole journey throughout the way, right? Then now being able to build that lifestyle of you like not eating as much and still being able to maintain like that healthy weight lah.
yes.
Yeah. I think yeah, those are great. Oh yeah, just to add on, okay, I think we have a few minutes left, but just to mention the weighing thing, I definitely agree. At least that's something that I think it's common between both of us. How we lose our weight. Oh, I'm data driven because the even for myself, I started recording at the start of my weight loss, but then halfway through I got lazy. I don't want to do it anymore. But I think what really worked for me is every day, just mentally logging it, going to the weighing scale and just weighing and seeing your change in weight, right? It's a bit of like a daily wake up call that okay, yeah, oh, it seems that my weight is increasing a bit. Maybe I should pull back on eating maybe too much today. At least that's how I motivate myself lah. Because if I see my weight is now tending like higher than expected, right, like or than my regular weight, right, then it's for myself to okay, yeah, I should probably consume less. Like maybe I consume a bit too much over the last few days. Yeah, so it does give you the daily reminder to try to do the right thing for your body, maybe. Okay, but anyway, we've gone on for 2 hours now. Harizan, I think this is the first time you're sharing a big part of your weight loss journey. And I think especially as a in a public space like the internet. Uh, I hope you have enough water. I think I sent a private message to you just now.
Yeah,
I
I
think you're
think
coughing
running
a little
out of
bit.
water. I need
Yeah.
coffee. I need more coffee as well.
So I think it was morning when we started. I think now it's already tending towards afternoon. So are you fasting today, by the way?
Yeah, always am. Always will.
Oh, okay, okay. Then I hope you get like a good hearty lunch later. So you do lunch and dinner today, right? Or not? No lunch as
Uh,
well.
no lunch. No lunch.
Oh, so
Just
dinner.
dinner.
Dinner will be your kind of your first meal for today.
First meal of the day. And it will be a good meal or not, I don't
Mm,
know. I still haven't decided what to eat. Because like
okay.
with all this intermittent fasting, I can eat whatever I want, right? I can like gosh
Mm,
myself on McDonald's. Oh yeah, McDonald's have a new
eh,
burger. McDonald's sponsor us. No,
okay.
no.
This is not we're not sponsored by McDonald's yet. Sure. That's it. Like I think earlier on you had a very nice quote. Hunger is the best spice. No, I do
Hunger
agree with that
is
lah. I
the
think
best spice.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't intermittent fast. So on days I don't eat as much for breakfast and lunch. Yeah, the dinner will be especially nice, or at least you will. I splurge a bit lah for dinner. I try and make it special. If I didn't consume that much that day. Yeah, okay. Not sure where I was going with that, but I do agree with the hunger is the best spice. But anyway, this is the weight loss journey of Harizwan. Over the last few years, starting in the COVID area, now 130 all the way down to 80. Do reach out to him if you want to find out more tips from him. I mean, I'm gonna do a write up of this later on as well. But I think it's a really inspiring journey. I think starting from you, like you mentioned about lying on the bed and then figuring out that you need to do something, up until like actioning on it, getting the metrics, doing it today. Maybe you have alerts, I don't know. Um, but until today, like being able to achieve like the amount you have. Okay. Since we have gone on for around 2 hours now, I need to try and end off this so it doesn't become too long. Um, okay, I'm just gonna skip this. Okay, for those listening audio, you can ignore this part. But essentially, for we have a few topics lined up for the next few weeks. I'm trying to set up the timing now. Harizan will be one of the hosts as well. On the 8th of February, we're going to be talking about a very contentious topic that's been happening in the January of 2024, which is a Simply Go. So if you're hearing this in the future and you don't know what is this, just know that this is something to do with EasyLink. We'll talk about it more in the future. And there's also another topic that I'm trying to get like a product manager and designer. And then we'll discuss on the topic and we see what we're going to do in this podcast. So this will probably happen around the 17th of February period, which is a Saturday. Yeah, so beyond that, I think this is the end of our sessions for today. Social links for Big O. If you like our content, please do visit our page, our LinkedIn page, Facebook, YouTube, all that good stuff. Reach out to me if you want to collaborate on something. And yeah, I think that's the end of our stuff today. I think the next slide is the last slide already. Anything to add, Horizon, before we finish off our session for today?
Yeah, yes, I just want to do a quick like point where the
Mm,
like in this whole episode, like the first part is all about exercise and second part is all about diet. So yeah,
mm,
it's kind of like pick your poison in a sense on how you would do weight management between the two different approaches, two different schools of thought in a sense. Um, and each person's body is unique in their own specific way. You might react better for exercise, or you might react better with just plain old diet like mine. So yeah, that's kind of it.
I think that's great. Pick your poison. Uh, I guess yeah, it's both. What's that? Both of these methods require motivation or like determination on both fronts. Like yeah, if you're intermittent fasting, you definitely have to have that control. Same thing as if you want to run or exercise. Like I don't say run, gym, run, anything like that. Yeah, I think there's some level of motivation there as well. But I think yeah, the common method there being that you do need, if you're looking at weight loss or at least like even fitness, I think the most important thing for me to say is the most important time is today. I think if you start working on it today, figure out what's the next step next, and then yeah, I think tips by Hairizuan, start measuring, figure out how you can get to the next stage, the next kg loss, next 10 kg loss. I think those are really important milestones you can set out for yourself, but it has to start first with that motivation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. With that, the end. This is the end of our very long podcast. It's actually almost at 2 hours. Thank you so much, Harizan, for sharing with us our your journey. I believe it has to be. This is really private, but really grateful that you are able to share with us in the public like this. I think I also run out of water. I so need to get some water soon.
Yeah. Same. Both
Okay,
are like
Harizan.
putting
See you
dry
around.
clothes.
Sorry.
All right. See you. Oh,
Okay, see you around, Harizan. Bye bye. Thanks for
bye.
joining.